All right, everyone. Thank you for joining the Silent So Loud podcast. It is Friday evening, December 1st. Today, we're going to talk about college football. That's pretty much going to be the only topic we're going to cover. We may dive into the NFL a little bit, but we're going to get Antonio here on the phone, and we're going to talk about the chaos and everything that's going on with the big games coming up this weekend, and we're just going to dive right into it.
Hello?
Antonio, what's up? What's going
Hey, what's
on?
happening, man?
All right, man. What's going on? How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, man. How you guys doing over there?
We're doing good, man. You have a good Thanksgiving?
Oh yeah, it was quiet, so it was great.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, it was great, man. How about you guys?
Oh, we did good. We had dinner here, had some family over, then we went to Universal actually after it for the
Oh wow.
break. Yeah, it was
Oh
it was awesome. It wasn't that crowded. You know, a lot of people were like,
yeah.
"Oh, it's going to be crowded. You won't be able to do anything." But we didn't go to Islands. We just went to Universal, and longest wait we had was probably like 20 minutes, maybe 30
That's not
minutes.
bad.
Yeah, it was good. So,
Oh wow.
so yeah, man, I wanted to, like, let's get on, and I already covered we're on right now, and I covered we're going to just talk college football mainly. We may dive in the NFL a little
Yeah,
bit, you never know, but let's talk about what's going on, man. College football is crazy
it
where
is.
we're at.
It is absolutely nuts right now, man.
Yeah.
Tomorrow could be a big, big day for sure.
Yeah. I mean, if we rewind the clock and dig back to what we talked about many weeks ago, right when the season was beginning, I mean, I know I made my prediction way ahead of time. I said Alabama is going to be in there,
Yep.
right? And it's possible. I mean, we'll dive into that I think in a little bit. So
Yeah.
I think for right now, let's just kind of cover like where we're at, right? The undefeated
Yeah.
teams, right?
Yep.
So you got Georgia, Michigan,
Mhm.
Washington, right? And FSU, which Washington is going to be on here shortly. And I
Oh
can't
yeah.
I can't believe it, but those Huskies, man, I told you they're undefeated. They stayed that way, you know.
Yeah, they surprised me for sure.
I,
I didn't think they would be undefeated right now.
I mean,
No way.
I'm rooting for those guys because I think we already talked about this. Michael Penix,
Yeah.
He's a Tampa boy, right?
Yeah.
He played at Tampa Bay Tech, and that's why I'm rooting for those guys, man. I hope that they can pull it out. But I mean, Oregon's hot. I
Ooh, man.
I mean, that's why I was like, let's get on here, let's talk about it, and that game's coming on here in about 30 minutes or so.
That's a
So
big one. That's a big one.
yeah. So what do you think? Do you think they maintain it and they just become
I
Pac-12
think
champs?
I don't know, man. I don't. I think Oregon wins tonight.
Wow.
I really
Okay.
do. I think Oregon wins tonight, and then they get in,
Right.
and Washington is out.
Well, that's why I want to get you on. That's why I was like rushing, like, let's do this
Yeah.
because okay, real quick, let's just go over, in my opinion, what would put us right to sleep, right?
Yep.
And what I mean by this is Georgia wins, Michigan
Yeah.
wins, Washington wins, FSU wins. We all go to sleep because there's no chaos. I
Nope.
think at that point you say, okay, boom, nothing happened, four undefeateds, right?
Yep.
Now you got the SEC in there, right? You got the ACC, right? Pac-12, right? Your Big Ten, right? But then
Yep.
there's really like nothing that you could talk about because they're all undefeated,
Hmm.
right? I mean, I know that some people will argue, that you got Texas with one loss, and then Alabama will have two if Georgia, beats them. So
Right.
Alabama, Nick Saban can't even begin to make that
Nope.
argument, right?
Nope.
But
Nope. He's
that's
out.
but in my opinion, that's the boring route to go. That it's just gonna all four are gonna remain undefeated, and
Yep.
then so let's break down each game. So you got Oregon pulling it off, and then
I do.
Washington's out after
I got
that.
him. I got Oregon. I got Oregon winning tonight, man.
Okay, I got Washington winning. I think they just
Okay.
keep it up. I think that because they've gotten to where they're at. I know Oregon's hot, right? They are
Right.
definitely like turned it on at the right time. So you never know. But I got Washington winning. So, and I'm probably being biased because I want the Tampa guy to win, right?
Right. And like I said, I'm rooting for Washington, but if you really ask me my money, where do I put my money? Not my heart. I would have to say Oregon.
Okay. Yeah.
There's just a more complete team to me.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay. Yeah. Now, the David Goliath game, Michigan,
Yeah.
Iowa,
No,
right?
No, that's not even a game.
Do we even talk about it?
Michigan's in. That you can pencil them in. They're in the 4.
Right. Right. Now, it would be a crazy world. I mean, we've seen crazy stuff happen, but it would be a crazy world if Michigan did not win.
Oh man.
I don't even know what the panel would do if Michigan didn't win. I mean, I don't even know where you go from there if Michigan lost to Iowa. I don't, you know what I mean? Like, then what do you do?
That would be huge.
Right.
That would be, Vegas would be going crazy.
Right. And I would not want to be on that panel, you know?
Nope.
Like, because I watched Tim Tebow earlier, and he was talking about this. He was talking about how, you know, do you go resume or do you go best team? And what I mean by that is the resume, you know, we're undefeated, right? And we'll dive into this with FSU, right? I'm going to make some Seminole fans ticked off, right? But, like, okay, remember last year, TCU, okay? They won their playoff game, right? They get in the title game, but that was a terrible title game. I mean, even if you're a Georgia fan, you got to admit that that was like, you know, I'm playing you on Madden on PlayStation and you can't work your remote. Like, that was a title game that we got. That was garbage last year. So, and to me, that's when, like what Tebow was saying, that's when you get the resume versus, like, who's the best team right now in college football. And that's what the panel's got to decide. So we both got Michigan. Really not worth diving into that. I know Iowa, they got like a decent run game. I was reading they're 9-0 when they run for 100, but it's not.
Michigan's defense their run defense is too good, man.
Yeah. Now
those guys up front.
Now even the Iowa coach said, you know, it would be, you know, it's pretty bad when you got the coach joking like if we won it would be pretty funny, but he actually said something along the lines if we won that would be pretty comical. You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, Michigan's going to win. We both agree on Michigan. Now, before we get to the big one, the Georgia-Alabama, because earlier in the season you were talking about how those are the two teams we're talking about, right? So let's cover FSU real quick, right? Now, we all know the Jordan Travis is out, right? They lost their leader, lost their quarterback. You know, the rival game, right? Close calls. You know, I think you were saying a while back that you thought that that'd be the one that would get them, if not Miami.
Yep.
If I remember correctly.
That's the one.
Right. So they're still, you know, to the Seminole fans' credits, they're still undefeated. But I don't know if you heard the news, but the quarterback's going to be a game time decision tomorrow.
I just heard that, man. That's crazy.
Game time decision. So there's a chance that they go with the red shirt, Brock Glenn. There's a chance. Now, what happens if that happens?
Well, I'll be honest with you. Even if their quarterback gets ready to go Saturday, I got Louisville winning this game. I don't think.
Regardless, you got it. Like even if Tate goes.
Yep. Even if he goes, I have Louisville pulling off that win, and then there's no question, no debate. Florida's out. Florida State is out.
Wow. Yeah. All right. Right. I mean, what am I going to say? If Tate's in there, I'll pick FSU. If not, because they know more about it than we do right now.
Right.
If they have to go to the red shirt, I'm with you, man. I'm picking Louisville. I mean, FSU, I mean, they have pulled it out, but to me, it just seemed like when their quarterback went down, you know, it was like there went their leader. You know what I mean? And I know that they're still playing hard, and that, you know, the Gators have had a struggle this year. You know, and I know they play each other hard, but I feel like that they have just like squeaked into that undefeated status, and
exactly
right. So and
I'm telling you, Louisville has 2 losses, but that's a good, fast team.
Yeah,
Good
I was going to ask you because I don't.
team.
I'll be honest with you. I don't know much about Louisville, so.
Yes, they're fast. They are good on offense, and they can run and they can throw the ball. And I don't think that Florida State has been challenged as much as some of these other undefeated teams have this year. So
yeah,
I'm telling you, it might not even be close. To be honest with you, it might not even be close.
Right, and I know we're making FSU fans mad right now because they haven't won they haven't won the ACC championship in, I think it goes all the way back to 14.
Oh yeah, oh my god,
it's almost been about a decade back, digging right back to the Winston days, right?
Wow.
So yeah, it's been a good minute. So I know we're making them mad right now, but I'd almost say, you know what? Yeah, I think they probably will lose. I think
they're going to lose, and I don't think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be one of those losses that, okay, we were just not ready for that.
Right.
College football playoffs.
Right.
It's a lot of pressure right now. A lot of pressure.
Right. So then, okay, so now we've opened up the can of worms, right?
Yep.
Now we've opened it up because if FSU loses, right, we know Louisville's not getting in there, right?
No.
And so then say Oregon, wins, then they slide in, right? So then we got Michigan, right? Oregon, but I say Washington, right? So then you just eliminate FSU and Louisville, right?
Yep.
So now we start picking it apart, all right?
Yep.
You got Texas, right? So you got Texas. Do they win their big game, the Big 12 game against Oklahoma State?
That's going to be a good game.
Right.
That's going to be a good game because Oklahoma State is playing well. I think Texas will win that game.
Me too.
I really do.
Me too. They suffered that one loss against Oklahoma, right? But I got a stat for you. Texas, right? Offense, they're averaging 35.1 points. Defense, 17.3. Texas is hot. And just my opinion, because you got Michigan out there, and of course you have Georgia, right? We'll dive into the big one, right? But I think because you got Michigan, you got Ohio State out there, I think Texas is just being completely overlooked this year.
They are, and that's going to lead us into the next game because what do you do? What do you do if Alabama wins on a close game? Say it's a close game, a 3 or 2 point win over Georgia. Do you still put Georgia in there even though they lose the championship game? Or do you put Ohio State in there? Or do you put Texas in there? Like, what do you do?
Okay, this is my opinion. This is what I think. Okay, say Texas wins. Okay, right. They're Big 12 champs, right? Okay. Michigan wins, right? Yep. Washington wins. Okay. FSU loses, right? Okay. So you got Texas, Michigan, and Washington, or possibly Oregon in there. There's your three, right? Mm-hmm. At that point, I feel like you have to ignore Ohio State, and you have to have the SEC champs in there. So then I think that you put Alabama in there, and Georgia
has to be in.
And Georgia gets eliminated, just like Ohio State.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think Alabama. I'm sure they will put Alabama in if they win. I am pretty positive that they will jump up to 4 if they win this game. I don't care what the score is. I don't care how they win. If Alabama wins, the committee will find a way to put Saban in there.
Right, because Saban was saying this, I think today or maybe yesterday. He was saying, whoever wins, right? Of course, if Georgia wins, they're in. They remain number 1 if they're in. Yep. He's like, but whoever wins and they're SEC champs, they have to be in that playoffs. They have to. They have to. Right? And
I agree. I agree with that.
And this dives back into, I don't know if we've ever talked about this, but, we're middle-aged guys. We remember the days where they didn't have this playoff system and they
Uh-huh.
just had the one or two teams, and you had a lot of people pissed. You had a lot of people mad. Oh,
Mhm.
my team didn't make the top two, didn't make the title game. But when they just, and I'm not trying to act like a know it all, but when they announced we're going to do a playoff system, right? And they said we're only going to do four teams. I said either you make it bigger
Yep.
or it's not going to work. Now, they are going to make it bigger. This is the last year that we get
Yes.
the final four, right? But
Mhm.
the reason why I felt like four would never work is because I feel like it's like either having like a private dinner or a party, right? So you have a private dinner. Here's your top two. That's it. That they're in the
Yep.
title game. There's no discussion. Everybody else can be mad, right? Back then you had undefeated teams. Like remember UCF? Like oh, we're the champs. We're undefeated.
Yeah.
And they're like, we don't care. Here's one and two. They're in the title game. That's it.
Yep.
But when you open it up and say, okay, well, we're gonna have playoffs, but not quite. But we're gonna allow four. Now you open up what we're talking about right now, the chaos.
Yeah.
The chaos of like, like I said, you went from having a little private dinner with your friend to having a
Mhm.
party and you start inviting more people and then other people have a valid argument of why they're in, so I should be in too, right?
Yeah.
Now they're going to fix it. They're going to go 12, right?
Yep.
I know I'm a little bit of an old school type way where back then I felt like when they just did one and two title game that the bowl games had more, I guess, meaning to them. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, they
You know,
did. They absolutely did.
right. You watch a lot of 80 movies, 90 movies, and they'd be like, that's a guy like Keanu Reeves movie and Point Break. They're like, I think he won the Rose Bowl. Like they would talk about that's the guy from that bowl game, right? Like it was like even if you weren't in the title game, these bowl games held such a high magnitude
Oh
back
yeah.
then. And I don't get way off topic, but I think that's why you see a lot of guys like opting out to play their bowl game. They don't want to get hurt, right? But I guess what's done is done. We can't really like dwell on that, but like they are going to go to the new playoff system. But this
Yeah.
year is a prime example of why I felt like it would never work. You know,
Yeah.
and then
No,
you
I
get
knew we all had our reservations when they came out with this. To me, it should have been at least 8 teams that they picked and then moved higher from there if they needed to.
mhm,
Four is just too little, man. You're leaving room for all kinds of questions and what ifs if you do
right,
that.
right. Now here's another scenario to cause more chaos. Okay,
Yeah.
Washington wins, Michigan wins, FSU wins, three undefeateds, right? So
Yep.
then you say, okay, if Georgia beats Alabama, no brainer, Georgia's in. But
Yep.
then if Alabama beats Georgia, right, you say, okay, well, they're the SEC champs. They deserve to come in, right?
Yeah.
Then you got Texas going, what are you talking about? We beat Alabama.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So then it's like, okay, how do you explain that? So then you dig into if you say, okay, you're correct, you beat Alabama, the second week, right? You're the Big 12 champs.
Uh-huh.
Now you have a Final Four without an SEC team. So then how do you explain that?
Oh my God.
You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
Because you could easily have FSU, Michigan, Washington undefeated,
Right.
and then you say, okay, well, Texas beat Alabama. They got a ballot. Now I don't know if it's just all There's so much out there you don't know what you read is true. But I heard
Yeah.
that the selection committee's not even really like considering Texas right now. I don't know
They're not.
why.
Yeah, they're not. I don't know why either. Um, it's no matter. I don't think out of all the scenarios we've talked about, I don't see one scenario that will make sense to everyone. You know what I
Someone's
mean?
feelings have
No
got to
matter
get
what,
hurt.
no matter what, there's going to be at least 2 teams that are going to be snubbed that can plead their case that they should be in.
There's going to be Monday
At least
morning
two.
fans irate. My
Oh yeah.
team This is garbage. I mean, because I'll tell you what, if I was on the committee and I'm about to make all the FSU fans mad, right? FSU wins, Washington wins, Michigan wins, and then Alabama wins, right?
Right.
And Texas wins. I'm going Alabama, Texas, Washington, Michigan, and FSU's out.
Yeah.
Even being undefeated.
Yeah.
I would put that.
I have FSU out right now.
Right. Right. So
I'm not even considering them in the playoffs right now. Even if they win, I have, bigger wins behind Oregon if they win. I have Alabama if they win over them. Like, it's just who are the best 4 teams is what I want to see in the playoffs.
Right.
The 4 teams that I think will be competitive. All the games that we're going to watch are going to be competitive to the very end. That's what we want to see.
And we are losing FSU fans by the, but you know what? We're being honest. We're being honest. Opinion. Yeah.
And if they're being honest with themselves, they can see that based on their record and their injuries and everything they have going on right now, they're going to have issues tomorrow with Louisville. And even if they win that game against Louisville, there's a possibility they're going to be out.
Right. So, yeah. So we both, I'll agree with you. I think they're going to lose. Louisville will probably win.
Louisville's going to win. They're going to win.
And so then we won't even be talking about the ACC in this Final Four.
No.
Right.
Nope.
So, all right. So the big game, but I want to watch that Husky game, man. I've been rooting for those guys. But let's talk about the big game. All right, let's dive right in. SEC championship, right? Straight up. Who do you have?
I have Alabama.
Me too.
I have Alabama winning outright and getting into the college football playoffs, believe it or not.
Right. Now, and I know I'm being biased because when we did our predictions early, right? Mm-hmm. I was like, I got Alabama going in there, and I was like, I believe in this quarterback, Jalen Milroe. I believe in him, right? Yeah. Now we'll dive into that. Now, rough start, right? Rough start, got benched, right? But you look at it like, okay, that was like a defining moment for that guy. That USF game, close call. That was when everybody's like, am I reading the score correctly? Right?
Yeah.
But if you pay attention to them since then, right, he has completely transformed himself as a quarterback.
Yes.
I mean, and I tell you what, I've been watching all the experts like make their picks or whatever. I'm picking Alabama. And I know all the Georgia fans are like, you're insane, but here's some things to think about, right? Okay, Georgia hasn't lost a game in 2 years, right? Mm-hmm. Who's the last team they lost to? Alabama. Right? Here's one for you. How many times, right, has Georgia beat Alabama in an SEC championship game?
Oh, wow.
Do you know the answer?
No, who?
Never. It's never happened.
Wow.
It never happened. When Georgia recently, a couple years ago, beat Alabama, right? Remember, that was whenever they put both of them in the Final Four.
Yep.
Georgia got the title win, but Alabama was SEC champs. Right?
Wow.
Now I know what Georgia's doing is absolutely incredible. Right? What they've done this year. Like when they lost their tight end, right? A lot of people were like, oh, there it is. They've lost their Grunk, right? And they responded almost like no worries, like Nick Chubb going down, right? Like, oh my gosh, like, we just lost our star. It's like they have like this team that they have built, right? Where it's like when Brock went down, they didn't miss a beat, right? Now, here's why one of the many reasons why I'm going to say Alabama wins, right? I feel like that they haven't been challenged.
That's exactly right.
And I feel like that when you're a team and you haven't been challenged, okay, I thought the Ole Miss game, I was like, okay, Like, they're finally going to have like a close game. No, complete blowout, right? So, in my opinion, when you have went that long undefeated, you have got to lose a game, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like that Nick Saban is just basically like, a lot of people are saying, is he going to come back? I think he's going to come back, but I mean, I just feel like that if you look at Alabama and the way they have completely turned it around with Jalen Milroe, like how he has like completely transformed himself as a quarterback, right? And let's dive into the quarterback comparisons, right?
Sure.
Carson Beck, he's done a great job, right? He's been an outstanding quarterback. I mean, the numbers don't lie. He's been great. But Aaron Murray, I'll use a Georgia quarterback of why I think Alabama wins, right? Aaron Murray, they interviewed him. He was a great Georgia quarterback. They asked him, if you have your pick going into the game tomorrow, which quarterback would you want? Would you want Beck or do you want Milroe?
Yeah.
He picked Milroe.
Mm-hmm.
And he said the reason why is that he is built for college.
Yep.
And he is. He's built for college. He said, now Beck, okay, could be a top 3 pick in the NFL draft. But he's like, if you look at Milroe, what he can do, not only just passing, but running the ball, I mean, he is built. He's like Lamar Jackson. I mean, that's who he plays like. So I think it comes down to that. Now, if you look at Georgia, right, you can say, okay, that South Carolina game, that was like, you know what I mean? Like, that was a turnaround game, if they even have a turnaround game, because they're undefeated, right? Mm-hmm. But that was a game where they were losing at the half, 14-3, and they're like, oh man, Georgia's got a scare, but then they turn around, they won 24-14. And I'm not knocking Carson Beck, because I think Georgia's great, right? Yeah. I think that he's been an awesome quarterback. But I think that Alabama wins this game. And then I know Georgia fans don't want to hear it, but at that point, they're out. They're not in the Final Four. Because I don't think that you can possibly justify saying, okay, well, now they're both in. Now, I know some people are already saying that. Like, oh, this is the end of the world if Georgia loses this game. But I don't see how you look at the other teams and say you haven't earned it and Georgia has. Like, I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm way off base here, but...
No, I see the logic. I see your logic, but it would not surprise me one bit if they both get in. Just based on what we talked about before, about that best 4 teams making the college football playoff. I think Georgia, if you go by that logic, I think Georgia gets in because of that. Because is Georgia a better team than Florida State? Is Georgia a better team than Texas? In my opinion, yes.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So, do you put them in or do you not put them in if they lose? Now, if they get blown out by Alabama, which is not going to happen, if they get blown out by Alabama, then there's no question you can probably take them out of the playoffs completely. But if they lose by 2 or by a field goal or less, I wouldn't be surprised if on Monday morning or whenever they do the college football rankings that they are there at 4.
Now, here's something that I just kind of thought of. It may sound out there. Let's say, well, you said Oregon will win, but let's just pretend Washington wins this game here in a little bit. Right? At that point, do you say Michigan's in? Because we're just going to assume Michigan's going to win unless something crazy happens. Michigan's going to win, right? Could you make the argument of, okay, Michigan, Georgia, Alabama, and Texas, because Texas beat Alabama, right? And then you just tell Washington you're not in.
Oh, yeah. That's a tough one, man.
I mean, but then if I'm Washington, I'm pissed because I'm. And
they have the right to be, but what what exactly is the committee going to be looking at? At that point, do you just put both of the records and both of the, who they beat, how they beat them by, where they were ranked at the time? Do you do that and decide which one of the two looks better? Kind of like how college basketball do the the rankings and
Yeah.
strength of schedule. Do you do that? I mean, to me, Georgia gets in if it's a close game against Alabama. You have to put Alabama in if they win. I don't see how you can't.
Right.
How you not put Alabama in if they beat Georgia?
Right. So then at that point you go, okay, Alabama's in. They beat Georgia. They shocked the world. They ended the 2-year streak, right? So they're in. But then if you're Texas and you're going, man, I just won my championship game.
I know.
And I beat Alabama. And I beat Alabama in a game that the score doesn't reflect that game. I remember watching that game and I'm like, this is a terrible game for Alabama. I mean, it was terrible for them. The score does not represent that game because, the garbage points at the end don't, it was not a close game at all. Right?
No.
So if I'm Texas, I'm going, I cannot believe this. You're going to put Georgia and Alabama both in, and you're going to deny us and put Michigan and possibly Oregon or Washington in. I mean, that's what I mean. Like pure. Now, let's go back to what we were talking about in the very beginning. That's we could eat our words on all of this, and then you have Georgia, FSU, Washington, and Michigan win, and then you go, well, there's your 4 undefeated teams. They're the champs. Everybody represented to a certain degree, right? No controversy if they all win. But the chances of all of them winning are slim to none.
It is. There's no way.
There's no way that they all win.
No way.
I mean, in a couple hours from now, we could be like, you were right. Oregon wins.
Yeah.
Now here's the thing too. Let's dive into like the Heisman, right? Because what made me think of this is that Heisman moment that Milroe had against Auburn, right?
Yep.
Now, a lot of people that are saying like, oh, I can't believe you're going to say Alabama's going to beat Georgia, right? Look at that Auburn game, right? But think about that. That was a rival game. They always, you've had some years where there's blowouts. I shouldn't say always, but it's a rival game. They play each other hard, right?
Always.
I looked up the stats of Alabama and Auburn in that rival game. Alabama 50 wins, Auburn 37 wins.
Yep.
That's a respectable number.
It is.
So you can't be like, oh, well, Alabama always beats Auburn. No. Like, it doesn't always happen that way. So, yeah, they had a very close call, but look at what that quarterback did at the end of the game. 4th and 31, right? I mean, if that doesn't make his confidence level just skyrocket, I know he got emotional and said, give me the Heisman. But tell you what, if he beats Georgia tomorrow, I mean, Heisman contender right there.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, like I said, a lot to talk about. I can't wait. I can't wait to see it because I just want to see how it's all going to play out. And then you're going to see the mad fans that are just irate, right? And in all honesty, I mean, whoever's left out, they have every reason to be mad, because it's like I said, that playoff Final Four, you've opened up that party, right? And there's going to be some ticked off fans come Monday morning. I got a feeling as FSU fans are going to be mad, right? Because we don't think they're going to win. But I got a strong feeling that even if they do win, that committee's going to be like, you know what? We're sorry, right? And then you're going to have like that UCF year where they're like, we're undefeated and we're denied, right?
Yeah, there will always be paper champions in their book.
Right. And I feel like that, we both think that they're going to lose, but let's just say they do win with their quarterback situation, right? And Louisville's playing good, but let's just say they win, right? Then you're going to be prepared to hear it from Seminole fans for like pretty much like the whole offseason. that,
Oh yeah.
that I cannot believe that we were undefeated and we weren't allowed in. But I think that that's what the committee is going to do.
I think so. I think they're out. I think they're going to be out even if they win this game, and which I don't think they will. I think Louisville will show that they're the better team right now, and then there's no question Florida State will be completely out.
And then Ohio.
Not only will they be out, but they will be going to a lower tier bowl than what they want to go to, which is another thing that's going to happen to them.
Right.
Completely just discarded.
Which, oh, by the way, since we're talking bowls, you see USF got a bowl game.
Yeah, that's the one thing I wanted to shout out. The USF Bulls, Alex Golish, and what a heck of a year he had.
Right.
From a one-win team to a bowl game.
Right.
Wow.
Right. Everybody's talking about Dion. I'm like, well, look at what he's done at USF. Right.
Wow.
Right. What was it? One win last year? One win.
And I think they had 4 wins since 2018.
Right.
And he went 6-6. And that quarterback is amazing. Bynum.
When he matures, he's already amazing. Right? But when he gets mature, I'm a USF fan, you've got to be excited for Bulls football.
Absolutely.
Because they're only going to get better next year and the year after. There's no way that they don't get better from here.
He's already out there recruiting defenders in the transfer portal. He's already out there trying to get some defenders, look into getting some defensive help, because that's all we need here. We can score with anyone. We just got to be able to stop the other teams from scoring.
Right. Yeah, I'm looking at the bowl predictions. We'll know Sunday, but it's looking like they're going to be in the Boca Raton Bowl.
Hopefully not against UCF. I don't want to see the battle of I-4.
No, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that because we've seen that.
I saw one projection, the Gasparilla Bowl against UCF, and I almost threw up.
Yeah, I don't want to see that.
I don't want to see that.
No, I don't want to see it. I'm not interested in that. Me and Jake were going to the I always call it the Outback Bowl, but the Relia Quest Bowl, right?
Yeah.
It'll be the Outback Bowl for years for me, but
I wonder who's going to be there this year. I wonder what teams.
We already got our tickets. A lot of the predictions are saying, believe it or not, Notre Dame.
Nice.
And they're saying that the SEC team will probably be LSU.
Nice. That would be great.
Right. That would be a tough game. That would be cool.
Oh my God, that's an amazing. That's a prime time.
Right.
Elite Six bowl game.
Right. I mean, now I have seen the other predictions where they have a lot of them are saying LSU. Right.
Okay.
Some of them are saying Ole Miss because you're going to have the SEC team there.
I can't stand Lane Kiffin.
Now they've had Ole Miss there a couple of times over the last couple of years, but yeah, they're saying Notre Dame. I haven't really seen much of a prediction other than Notre Dame and LSU.
That would be badass right there.
I mean, I'm going to be glued to the TV. I love that whenever they start doing the bowl game announcements. Like, it's just exciting if you're a college football fan. It's just exciting. Yeah, I love it.
I just don't want to hear USF versus UCF. That's gonna just
because you know why? You know why we don't want to hear it? Because that was a rival game, the war on I-4 for years. So now that USF has a bowl game, it's exciting. That they're in a bowl game.
Don't make it against UCF.
Yeah,
UCF play somewhere else.
Yeah, I don't know why people are saying that would be exciting. It would not be exciting. It would just feel like you're watching a rerun. Like I can't believe the coach got them to a bowl game. Honestly,
no, because it was unexpected. I think the projection was 3 wins this year.
Hey, I'll be honest.
Like 3 wins.
I'll be honest. That's what I thought.
Me too.
I was like, oh, they won 1 game last year. They'll win a couple. All that talk at the beginning of the year about Deion Sanders and he's the best coach in football. Yeah. They're not getting a bowl game, right? All that hype, they're not getting one.
He's losing people to the transfer portal left and right, too.
Right. So here it is, our guy at USF, man, like totally, that is incredible. I mean,
it was.
Give that guy whatever awards you got, man, to go from 1 win. USF would have been happy if he would have got 3 wins.
heck yeah.
They would have been like, oh, well, at least we're,
Well, just that Alabama game was enough for me to say this guy's the real deal.
How many people turned on that Alabama game that were late to the game and thought they were reading the score wrong?
Yeah.
I watched that game start to finish, and I kept thinking I was reading the score wrong.
I was like, I cannot believe we're still in this game.
Right.
What is happening?
Right. Now, if you're Milroe, hey, he got bench, and I think that helped out. That absolutely helped that guy. It helped him. It transformed him because remember, and you never know what Nick Saban's up to. I mean, I know people. No. I love him, right? But I know a lot of people hate Nick Saban. A lot of people love Nick Saban, but he is a chess player. And I remember he kept toying, like, who's going to be Alabama's quarterback? Bryce Young's in the NFL. Who's going to be the new quarterback? And he kept playing around, playing like musical chairs with quarterbacks. And that was a game.
Oh
that was a game where something I started thinking about was he figuring it out as far as quarterbacks because he was playing USF? Was he going, let me put these, the two Thai guys in just to see, am I right about my instincts with the guy that I believe in, right? Because they have built, one thing that Alabama has been great about is they have built that offense around him. You know what I mean? They have built that offense around, they have catered to their quarterback, right? And it has worked out well. So you figure like Tommy Rees or their OC, he's done a fantastic job with Jalen Milroe. I mean, just a great job because that was it. You look at, they lost to Texas, the USF game, you're going, I cannot believe that this is happening right now, that we got a baseball score and the USF is hanging with this elite team. I mean, how many people, I don't even want to listen to the prediction that we made. I remember I was getting texts like, oh, so much for your 50 points from Alabama, right? I mean, that was incredible. So that was like, to me, the moment where it's like, okay, right after that game, it was like, all right, these guys are not my quarterbacks, right? Saban said, I'm going to go back to the guy that I picked, and they just have been a different football team since that game. And like you said, kudos to USF because that defined that coach where it's like, he's playing Alabama that hard.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And he made some great calls during the game. We just knew that athlete-wise, they had better athletes than we did.
Right.
And that's what it boiled down to at the end. But as far as the play calling, keeping the boys in the game, like he did everything right.
And another thing I liked about the USF coach is after the game, I was one of the people doing it. You're like, USF won, man. Like look at how good they did, right?
Yeah.
And he was like, we didn't win, right? He's like, we did not win, right? Like he was like, he basically doesn't believe in like, celebrating something where you're like, well, it was a win in our mind,
right?
Right. He's like, no, we didn't win,
no.
And I was like, wow, he's not over celebrating.
No.
And I'm like,
no, he was upset about it.
Right.
He was not happy.
That means you have a coach that does not, like a Brady, that does not like to lose, Because how many coaches, if you flip the script, how many coaches would have said, hey, look, I took over USF. They had one win last year, and I just held my own against Alabama, and they would be acting like they won the Super Bowl.
Yep.
And that guy, you could tell they lost that game. Like at the press conference, I was like, that guy doesn't look happy at all. All of Tampa's ready to go celebrate at USF, and he's like, no, we lost. So that is I'm excited about Bulls football, man.
Oh, I am too.
So
it's gonna be a heck of a year next year for sure.
So last thing, I've been doing, like I said, I've been doing my research about this big SEC game, and I think it comes down to the two coordinators. You got Mike Bobo on Georgia, and then you have Kevin Steele, right? And I want to kind of end on this, right?
Mm-hmm.
That Alabama LSU game, right? LSU had a top offense, right?
Right.
I think tomorrow this is going to be a factor in the SEC game. and I think because I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think it's going to be a close game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's going to boil down to adjustments at the half, right? Because that Alabama LSU game, right? They said that Kevin Steele went in there, and they're like, if there was a swear jar for cursing, I mean, they're like, he lit Alabama defense up, right? Now you got LSU, right? They've had great offense, right? They just haven't been able to win the games. They come out, they allow LSU 7 points in the second half, right? That game was 42-28, right? Alabama won, right? But they said that he was just, I mean, lighting those guys up. So, my opinion, that's why I'm picking Alabama, not only for the quarterback situation, but I think that Kevin Steele just figures it out. And it's going to be a close game. You know, I don't even know if you even want to do a score prediction. It's going to be a close game, but I mean,
we could do a score prediction. I would say 30-28. You know, something that close.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. I could see same thing like 34, 31, something like that. You know,
remember that defense is not the same. That Georgia defense is not the same defense they've had the last couple of years.
It's not.
You know, and
no.
that was what made Georgia so dangerous.
Exactly.
That defense was just.
They're all Eagles now. They're on the Eagles.
Yeah, they're all on the Eagles.
It's the Philadelphia Bulldogs.
It's so weird to see that, man.
Right. And another thing too is statistics, right? I got it written down right here. When was the last team to three-peat in college football? Because we haven't seen it in our lifetime.
Yeah. Oh, it must have been, wow.
We had to.
Oh, man, I know who it is.
Who?
It's Minnesota.
Minnesota. And you gotta go.
20s.
You gotta go back like. You gotta go all.
1920s or something.
It's like
that, right?
it's in the 30s, man.
What?
The last team to three-peat. Everybody's talking about that. Like Georgia can make history, right? The last team to three-peat was Minnesota, right? 1934, 35, and 36 is the last time this happened.
Yeah, it's hard to do, man. I don't think it's gonna happen this year. I really don't.
Right. I don't. That's why I'm like, they're so due to lose. If that makes sense. I mean, I know Georgia fans are like, what are you even like? How do you even like justify that we're due to lose? But it's true, man. You're like you're due to lose a game.
Yeah.
You know, and I almost feel like that Georgia would be in a better situation if they had lost a game like Alabama, right?
I believe that. I can see that.
Right, because after that Texas game, you know, you could say that Nick Saban just went to the next level. That he was like, like he knew, like we have got to play like elite football. I know the Auburn game was close. We already covered that, but he knew like we have got to basically look like we're on our A game. You know, all the way, right? Or else people won't even think about putting Alabama in the playoffs. Yeah. And real quick, what do you think about the tight end of Brock, Georgia's tight end? You think he didn't play in the rival game? So what do you think? Does he suit up?
I don't think he's playing.
Right.
I don't see him playing, man. At this point, remember, you got what is he? Is he a junior? What is he?
I don't even know. I don't know.
I don't know if he's a junior or a senior.
Yeah.
But anyway, especially if he's trying to come out of college this year, I don't even know if that's a thing, but he might not even suit up to play, even if he could. So
yeah, because like he was going to try to make it a go last week.
Yeah.
In the Georgia Tech game. And then I guess like it was bothering him. He was hurt, which makes me think he came back too early, you know. But they said that his ankle was hurting, so that's why they said no. we got to save him for this week. But right now, unless I missed it, he's up in the air if he's going to play.
Yeah, I don't think he'll play. I don't think, and that's a huge offensive weapon that won't be there.
Right.
I still think they have enough playmakers, but defensively, this is not the same Bulldogs team. So
it's not.
That's another reason why I think Alabama just gets just enough points and pulls off the win tomorrow.
Right. And I know everybody has covered this, but once again, you got Nick Saban, teacher versus student, I guess you could argue, versus Kirby, right? And I got to go with the mentor. I got to go with Nick Saban. I just think
this is such a huge game, man. This is the one that's going to really create a lot of problems, even if the other ones go, the way they're supposed to go.
Right.
This particular game going to Alabama will definitely be a big problem.
Right.
A big problem for the committee.
Right. Yeah, I don't want to be on that committee because you're going.
No. It's a hard. There is no right answer. That's the problem.
Yeah, you're gonna be like a hung jury. Yep. Like,
there's
Your Honor,
no
we
right
don't.
Answer. You know what the right answer is? Saying screw the 4 teams. Let's just go ahead and make it 8.
Yeah. Well, that's what they're doing. They're going to 12. So they figured it out. But yeah, I think you're a hung jury. The judge keeps telling you go back and keep talking about it until you figure it out.
That's it. There's no right answer to this.
Right.
One of these games going the wrong way will absolutely mess everything up.
So they just start out with an apology. Yeah. Be like, okay, we're going to go ahead and apologize.
Yeah, right away.
We're just going to read this long written statement apologizing for, for the fans, for the students, for the college that's fixing to be irate when we announce this Final Four, you know? And, it's exciting, and
it is.
And I think, like what we already talked about, I think that you got to go 4 best teams, man, because we don't want a TCU versus Georgia again. I mean, I know TCU earned their way there, right? Okay, they won their playoff game, and I was one of the ones that, don't count TCU out, but come on, that was.
I couldn't believe how bad that game was. Like, I really didn't think. I knew that Georgia was going to win that game, but not in my wildest dream did I think TCU was just going to sleep through the whole game.
Right. Right.
That was insane.
If you're a Bulldog fan, you're mad because you're like, it's like when Mike Tyson was back in his prime, and you see the guys taking a dive, are you even playing anymore? I mean, the Bulldogs were eating chicken wings on the sidelines. You know what I mean? Like, they're just sitting there eating chicken during the game still. That was not a title game, and I'm still mad about that title game. So I'm hoping that they figure it out and we get a good title game this year. Like Alabama, Michigan would be great. Georgia, Michigan would be great.
Yes.
So a lot of the experts, that's their picks is Georgia, Michigan. So
that would be Georgia, Michigan would be sick.
Right. And we didn't really talk about Ohio State. No disrespect to their fans, but I just think that we had discussed in another podcast about that was the game, Michigan, Ohio State. Do you think that they got robbed? That controversy on that play. Yeah, me too.
I do. I actually think Ohio State should have won that game, man.
Yeah,
I really do.
Yeah.
I mean, Michigan won, whatever, but kudos to them. But I do believe that Ohio State has a legit reason to be upset.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're a Ohio State fan, you got a legit reason to be mad.
Yeah,
about that.
Me too.
And the committee obviously thinks high of them because they got them currently ranked above Texas and Alabama. They only shot them down to 6. So that means that they got a high regard for them. If you're Texas, you got to go. What can we do? I mean, I know they lost to Oklahoma. That was their one loss. But here's something else to think about, too. Tebow brought this up. FSU, if they do lose to Louisville lost to Kentucky, right? Yeah. So then if you're a Seminole fan and they lose to Louisville, you can't say anything. You're out.
No.
At that point. You're out. And Louisville's not going to get in. No. No.
No.
So, yeah. Well,
Louisville's not getting in, but Louisville, I would put my money on them to beat Florida State this weekend.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah. So, all right, man. Well, we covered a lot. So, yeah. So, we will see how it plays out. And thanks for coming on, man. Appreciate you.
Hey, no problem. Anytime.
All right. I'll talk to you later. All right. Thanks.
All right, brother.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. All right, everyone. Thank you for listening to the Silence So Loud podcast. And I hope you have a great weekend. And let's enjoy the college football games.